Welcome to the Back in Time podcast with Kyle and JD, where every week we jump into our DeLorean, cruise to 88 miles per hour, and travel back in time to review our favorite films. Every week we talk about current cinema, the latest trailers, and we pick a new favorite film every single episode.
But I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity. 1.21 gigawatts!
Don't say that! Never say that! Goonies never say die!
We're the best, we're the beautiful, we're the only Ghostbusters.
Now, here's your host, Kyle Autry, and his co-host, JD.
I'm serious about you pouring yourself a drink, bro.
Hey,
I don't want to drink alone.
Hey, we're rolling. This is how we're going to start it. Justin wants me to get drunk. We're here. It's episode 21. What is happening, listeners? Thanks for hitting the download button on today's episode. We're excited to talk some speed here. Got my co-host, Justin, on the line, and he is buzzed on some alcohol and some Vicks. Justin, how's it going?
Well, I think you already gave me a really good preface there about the alcohol and the Vicks, but mostly the Vicks Vapo Rub, which I'm told can save your life. So,
yeah,
like $1 million.
My wife always puts it on my son's chest and then on the bottom of his feet. So look into the feet thing.
Did not think that's what you were about to say right there.
So I want to quick shout out to everybody. Thank you for hitting the download button on last week's episode, which was our 2017 review. And we had some positive feedback from that and quite a few new listeners jumping on board. So if you're new to the show, welcome aboard. And also you picked a good week because we're going to be cruising down the highway at least 50 miles an hour so we don't blow up. So welcome to it, and a big whoa from Keanu Reeves. JD, any feedback on our last episode, or if you want to even go a step further back and talk some Santa Claus, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I think our last episode, very happy for all of you that tuned in to our 2017 year-end wrap-up. It was kind of good to sort of look at the landscape of movies as a whole, but getting a lot of positive feedback, a lot of, not negativity, but a lot of people challenging some of what we put out there in terms of what we said was good or what everyone's got their opinions. And as always, bring it on. But, we like to spend time in the DeLorean looking years past then, the last handful of years. So I'm looking forward to getting onto that highway with you, Kyle.
Yeah.
Hand in hand, we're going to be Thelma and Louise going down and experiencing speed together.
Absolutely. And real quick, while it's on my mind, we are day 2 of our poll topic. This is going to run until Sunday, so you should be listening to this probably on Friday or Saturday. Go over to our Twitter, @BackInTimePod, and vote. Do you want us to review Super Mario Brothers from 1993? Justin wants it to happen. I think it's a crap film, and I don't want to see it again. But if that's what you guys want us to review, we'll get all over it. And we'll take a listen. So go on there now and just give us a yes or a no. And again, that's going to run. It's already been going since Wednesday, and that'll go all the way until Sunday.
I got to say, every time we do a poll cock...
A poll cock?
Again.
No, I'm not cutting that out. We're leaving poll cock in there.
Poll cockpit. A poll topic. You always sway the audience. The audience always votes in your favor. So I'm not looking forward to how I think that this is going to turn out. I don't think we're going to be watching Super Mario, but people, please vote for me. Vote yes.
Yeah, vote for Donnelly. And a big old Zoltan. So let's jump into some current cinema. I feel like we haven't done this in a while, and we've had some really good things out lately. Some pretty big box office hits. Did you see any movies over Christmas break other than Star Wars?
Star Wars was the last movie that I saw. I'm sort of biding my time getting over, for those of you who can't tell, I'm fighting a cold.
Yep.
Before I, reintroduce myself into the general population. I'm not looking to be Patient zero.
So, in a pretty big shock over the weekend, the number one movie over this weekend ended up being Star Wars again. Big shock, but it was pushed pretty well by Jumanji. That's made a run, and actually, just the last day, Jumanji has started to overtake Star Wars at the box office. And
schoolyard effect, man. People are talking.
People are talking, and the reviews, I think initially the trailer was like, we're not so sure about this one. But, the reviews have been pretty decent on Jumanji, and I think the word of mouth has been really good. So just this last weekend, let's see, Star Wars did 168 million just weekly. Jumanji did 102, and then their total gross for the last weekend, and that was the 28th, was 464 million for Star Wars, 118.9 million for Jumanji. And that's not counting the 29th, the 30th, 31st, New Year's. I know both those movies have tacked on quite a bit more. The other movie that's kind of held pretty steady that debuted last week was Pitch Perfect 3. And then also The Greatest Showman. Those came in at 3 and 4. Respectively, 46 million for Pitch Perfect and 33.5 for Greatest Showman. Also had the debut of Downsizing, and I don't want to say I called it. I don't want to say I called it, but I called it. So I said I thought that would be the big flop, and they sure did. They came in at number 7, only 12 million over holiday weekend.
Yeah, but that'll buy you one hell of a Blumpkin still.
Yeah, but a budget of almost 70 million, they're going to have a hard time making that back.
Yes, but they can afford a Blumpkin. Yeah,
sure. It's Paramount. They'll be all right. The other movie that debuted was Father Figures with Owen Wilson. And why am I drawing a blank on his name? I love the guy. Andy Bernard, Nard Dog.
How many more times do I have to say Ed Helms?
Yeah, Ed Helms. He's awesome. They debuted number 9 at the box office. Only 9 million. That seems like it would be a disappointment, but we'll see if it has any legs on it, and maybe the schoolyard effect will go in. So coming out this next week is going to be The Post. With that's Steven Spielberg with Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep. And then also debuted this weekend at the box office, actually. So if you're listening to this, it's already out. All the Money in the World. My wife saw that with the family over the weekend and thought it was really good. So had you heard anything about All the Money in the World?
I think All the Money in the World can buy you as many Blumpkins as you want. That's what I've heard about All the Money in the World.
So I'll take that as a no then.
No, educate me.
So, there's not a whole lot to educate you on. It's medium level budget movie, not like a giant, directed by Ridley Scott. It's going to star Mark Wahlberg, Michelle Williams, and Christopher Plummer. So they've got a pretty good cast.
Is in it?
You got it. Yep. So the story is the kidnapping of 16-year-old John Paul Getty III and desperate attempt by his devoted mother to convince his billionaire grandfather, John Paul Getty, to pay the ransom. So pretty cool story. And it's gotten okay reviews. And it's a 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb right now. So I'm always a sucker. Anytime it says inspired by true events, I'm like, oh, really? This happened? But, they changed everything.
Whoa.
So that's the current box office. I'm not sure what's coming out this week, though. I know I kind of covered a few things. Oh, here's my big plug of the week. Because I've talked about it almost every episode for like the last 4 weeks. The Disaster Artist is still in theaters. If you haven't seen it, go out and watch it. But one day only, January 10th, all across the country, there are screenings of the original movie, The Room, and it's only on the 10th. So you should check out and see where The Room is playing near you, and go watch the greatest terrible movie ever made. And I'm about halfway through the book, dude. The book is amazing. I'm gonna send it to you.
Neither of us have seen the original yet.
I haven't seen the original yet, but I have seen Disaster Artist, and I'm halfway through the book. And I'm hoping to finish the book before this, so I can actually go see it on Wednesday, which is when it comes out.
See, I only read R.L. Stine books and Choose Your Own Adventure books.
Sure. You really do you still read some R.L. Stine, or you grown past that?
Oh, I own every single one of the original Goosebumps runs.
Yeah. Nice. What was your favorite?
A Night in Terror Tower.
Okay.
I loved A Night in Terror Tower. I loved Ghost Beach. But I you know what? I think the best one, the scariest one, is The Ghost Next Door. That story is still, if somebody makes that into a movie,
right?
Frightening.
Good. Yeah, I think they should do that. I don't know why more R.L. Stine movies haven't been made.
No, I'll tell you what. Have you watched The Haunting Hour at all?
I haven't.
It's actually really good.
What's that on?
I think the first season and season 1 and season 2 are on Netflix.
Really? It's called The Haunting Hour. Are they like different parts of different books, or is it one book?
It's pretty much like Are You Afraid of the Dark, but R.L. Stine.
Okay.
That's good stuff.
The Haunting... I don't see The Haunting Hour. I see The Haunting Ground. Nope. Not on there. They must have took it off.
Bastards.
But you could go watch the 5 seasons of Goosebumps on from 1995 are on Netflix. So you could go relive all those old TV shows.
Those were rough to... Have you rewatched any of those in recent memory?
No.
They're a little rough to watch, man.
Are they?
The intro theme song is rocking, and it's so good, but the episodes are yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably pass on rewatching those, but I'm going to keep my eye out for a Haunting Hour in hopes that it gets put back up at some point. Let's jump into some Intro the Speed here. That's my best speed. Whoa. Even though a bus really wouldn't go.
More like...
Why would it be a whale?
You bastard. You bastard. That was my bus noise. How dare you compare it to a whale?
That's awesome. Hold on. I'm going to take a drink of water now. Okay.
Anytime my grandma needed a drink of water, she always called it her special water, and it wasn't until college that I realized that it was vodka she was drinking.
That's awesome.
I never knew I wasn't allowed to drink out of her water glass.
All right, so Intro the Speed. Speed is a 1994 American action thriller film directed by Jan de Bont in his feature film directorial debut. The film stars Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, Sandra Bullock, Joe Morton, Alan Ruck, and Jeff Daniels. It became a surprise critical and commercial success, winning 2 Academy Awards for Best Sound Editing and Best Sound Mixing at the 67th Academy Awards in 1995. The film tells the story of an LAPD cop who tries to rescue civilians on a city bus rigged with a bomb programmed to explode if the bus slows down below 50 miles per hour. A critically panned sequel, Speed 2 Cruise Control, was released on June 13, 1997. Definitely not as successful as the original. What do you remember about Speed 2 Cruise Control?
I remember watching the trailer and laughing and being like 10 years old and thinking, my gosh, they are all a bunch of idiots.
Let me ask you this. It's the same director. He's on the heels of coming right off of this and Twister, which were both massive, massive successes. And he puts out this pile of poop, just steaming pile of poop. Speed 2. What?
I feel like
what
Speed
happened?
2 wasn't his fault, though. I feel like it probably wasn't his fault.
Okay.
I feel like if I've learned anything from watching Entourage over the past few weeks, it always comes to blame on one person, one little Irishman who screws everything up.
Pizza Boy.
Spinning the dough.
Hug it out, bitch. What season are you on?
4.
4? 4 is pretty good. Trying to remember what happens in 4. Are they making Aquaman already? Or is that done?
Oh, Aquaman's in like season 2. They just finished Medellin.
Medellin. Ah, yes. I love the director in that one. I forget his name.
Billy Walsh.
Yeah, Billy Walsh is awesome.
So
fucking
good.
suit, man.
Makes me
The
feel like
suits.
I'm not a good enough creative artist because I'm not throwing tantrums in public and pulling my shirt off.
I love
That's why I'm a few steps behind in the game.
I love, like, in the next season, I think that they go to find him and he's directing porn under an alias. It's freaking hilarious.
It's the American dream, man.
We got way off topic from Speed 2, though. Let's reel it back in. Principal photography began September 7th, 1993, and completed December 23rd, 1993 in Los Angeles. DeBont used an 80-foot model of a 50-story elevator shaft for the opening sequence. While Speed was in production, actor and Keanu Reeves' close friend River Phoenix died. Immediately after Phoenix died, DeBont changed the shooting schedule to work around Reeves and give him scenes that were easy to do. It got him emotionally. He became very quiet, and it took him quite a while to work it out by himself and calm down. It scared the hell out of him, DeBont recalls. Reeves was nervous about many of the film's action sequences, but the shooting progressed. He became more involved and wanted to do more of his stunt work. One of the interesting facts, I'll just say it now, Keanu Reeves does 90% of his own stunts in this movie, including the one where he jumps from Toon Man's car into the bus. Pretty good stuff. They used 11 different buses for this movie, and they were... let me find them here. They're GM New Look buses and 3 Grumman 870 buses. So if you're at home and you know a lot about buses, you have issues. I don't know why I brought that up.
Little bus boy. 2
of them were blown up, and one was used for the high-speed scenes. One had the front cut off for inside shots, and one was used solely for the under-bus shots. Another bus was used for the jump scene, which was done in one take. So again, they did win some awards. I mentioned a few of those earlier. They also had some recognition from the Saturn Awards. Sandra Bullock won for Best Actress, and they were nominated for 3 MTV Awards and won 2 of them. And that included Most Desirable Female, Best On-Screen Duo, Best Villain, and Best Action Sequence.
And how many of those awards went to Toon Man?
0. Toon Man went home empty-handed.
Yeah, but
it's
he's
a
the
shame.
Toon Man, so does he really go home empty-handed?
Good point. Let's talk about the writing a little bit, because I found this kind of interesting. The screenwriter is Graham Yost, and he was told by his father, Canadian television host Elway Yost, about a film called Runaway Train starring John Voight, about a train that speeds out of control, and that is how he kind of came up with some of the idea for Speed. Makes sense. But during the script writing process, they brought in Josh Whedon, very well known, and and this is kind of a weird quote, but the Yost said he wrote 98.9% of the dialogue is Josh Whedon's. So pretty much all of the script, and he's actually uncredited. I feel like there was another movie we watched where Josh Whedon was uncredited but had done majority of the work. Do you remember which one it was?
Yeah, it was episodes of Roseanne.
It's definitely not Roseanne. You don't remember, do you, though?
Do you remember?
I don't. That's why I'm...
No, he's done that. I mean, he made his early career, he made bank on coming in and doing that and doing uncredited. The same way, like M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong did, like, rewrites for Stuart Little.
Did you know that he really did write for Roseanne, or were you just throwing that out? Because he really did.
He did.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, Joss Whedon wrote for Roseanne.
I hope he's
That's
on
a fact, everyone.
I hope he's on the new show, the one that's coming back out with Roseanne. That should be good.
Oh, shit. Is Dan alive or dead?
Yeah, they're ignoring his death, so he's back.
Oh, okay. Good. I'm good with that.
Yeah, they brought back the entire cast.
Original Becky or new Becky?
New Becky. Sarah Chalk. No,
And
wait a minute. They're both in it. They got new Becky and old Becky.
Crazy son of bitches.
And they brought back DJ. And he looks like he literally hasn't aged. It's incredible. How are you?
Does he still look like he has a turd in his pants?
Oh my God, yes. I'm sending you this photo right now. Tell me he doesn't look like he's pinching off a load here.
He always looks like he has a turd in his pants.
Coming in hot.
I'm waiting for it. My pants are turdless. I'm waiting for DJ's turds. Oh boy, you're literally texting me while we are recording our podcast.
Did you get it?
It's the weirdest thing. It says there's an attachment, but when I click on it, there's nothing there.
Damn it. I really wanted to hear you laugh. Because he's almost like in pain looking at the camera like, oh my God, I have to shit.
Like in
It's
Human
amazing.
Centipede.
If you
oh shit, I have to take a shit.
Let's do some interesting facts. So, Sandra Bullock actually learned to drive a bus for the film. She passed her test on the first attempt. What do you think about that?
I think beautiful people can do whatever the hell they want, you asshole.
Is it me? Why is it with Hollywood? She learned how to do all this. And then one of the other interesting facts is that there's two wheels and somebody on the top of the bus was actually driving it. She's just fake driving it. What's the point of that? Why didn't they just have her drive the bus?
How dare you question anything she does?
Terrible. Terrible.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are terrible. Fans, please, public outcry and rage for Kyle's terribleness.
Jan de Bont insisted that Keanu Reeves get a sensible haircut because he didn't want the whoa haircut, as he would befit a hardworking cop if he had a better haircut. 20th Century Fox was so horrified when they saw the buzz cut that they threatened to postpone the film and allow his hair to grow back.
I love the buzz cut with him in this movie.
Yeah.
I really do. Like, I think it accomplishes everything that they wanted to do, like, visually with him to be an everyday cop. I personally like the buzz cut, and you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if I had a buzz cut later, late 1994, after seeing this movie.
Yeah. It's weird that your Keanu Reeves sounds a lot like White Goodman from Dodgeball.
Of course.
Yeah, sure.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody.
Michelle. Josh Whedon, I already got that. Keanu Reeves did approximately 90% of his own stunts. Got that as well. The bus scene, here we go. The bus jump scene was not in the original script. Director Jan de Bont came up with the idea one day when he was driving around Los Angeles and noticed the 105, one of the sections, was missing. The bus jump scene was done twice, as the bus landed too smoothly the first time. The bridge was actually there, but they just digitally erased it. For the bus jump sequence, a ramp was built. The bus was started from about 1 mile back and accelerated towards the ramp. When it hit the ramp, it had reached a speed of 61 miles per hour. The bus traveled 109 feet, and its front wheels reached an altitude of 20 feet off the ground which was higher than anyone had anticipated. Because of this, the cameras were not placed correctly, and the top front part of the bus goes out of frame when the bus reaches the maximum point of the jump.
So it's kind of like watching Harrison Brewer do the 40-yard dash.
Yeah, exactly like that. Here's another head-scratching thing from 20th Century. I can't imagine why they went out of business and had to sell. They were not convinced to begin with that Keanu Reeves had enough star clout to front the film and insisted on another big-name actress to star alongside him. The director refused, and Fox relented to casting Sandra Bullock, and they began shooting 2 weeks after. So what do you think of the director's decision in holding firm on Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock?
Okay, what year did The Net come out? That's after Speed, right?
1995, so it's right after.
Well, then he's a genius. He predicted a female star power.
Yeah. One of the things I read was Halle Berry had turned down that role, and she doesn't regret turning it down either because of what it did for Sandra Bullock's career. And she felt like if it was just her, and these are her words, not mine, that she would have just been the black driver.
So she would not have gone on to star in maybe Catwoman or something like that.
Sure.
Just saying. My words, not hers.
I mean, that's what she's saying. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Sandra Bullock wasn't a no-name. She had just done Demolition Man. She'd done nothing before that, though. Yeah, she's a nobody at that point. They're right.
So what you're saying is if the roles were reversed, we would have gotten Sandra Bullock in tight leather in Catwoman.
Very possibly. Also, Halle Berry in A Time to Kill instead of Sandra Bullock. Also,
yeah. I like this alternate universe we've created.
Halle Berry is Miss Congeniality. Things could have gone totally weird. Good thing we're in this DeLorean because we can go back and change stuff and make sure she accepts it. We'll write her a letter from the future. Accept this role. Biff. Some of the actors that turned down the role of Jack Traven. Is it Traven? I can't remember his last name. It's not important. The actors that turned down the role: Stephen Baldwin, William Baldwin, Jeff Bridges, Kurt Russell, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Willis, Michael Keaton, Tom Hanks, Johnny Depp, Tom Cruise, Jim Carrey, Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Nick Cage, Mickey Rourke, John Travolta, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren, Mel Gibson, and Harrison Ford all turned it down. What are these guys thinking, and can you imagine any of them in this role?
I would give my vote to Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton would have been good in this. Michael Keaton's good in everything, though.
I can't picture. It's such a cerebral part. It's very, trying to think of Sly Stallone or Arnold in this role where it's like you're thinking on your feet. His muscles don't play a factor in it. You need somebody that has that sort of sly sensibility about him, that it can't be a meathead. It can't be a bruiser. It has to be a tactician.
Right.
And I think Keanu's the perfect part. He's the perfect actor for it. But second place, I would have watched it with Michael Keaton still. You know
what? I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to say number 2 is I think Nick Cage would have been awesome in this.
Okay, I can't disagree. Nick Cage would have been awesome.
And also, I hear he may have a film that may make a little bit of a comeback for him this year. I'm hearing good things about the trailer. It's basically a movie about parents that become obsessed with trying to kill their kids. It's crazy. It's kind of like zombie-like. What's the name of the freaking movie here?
I feel like you're setting me up for a joke, but you're going for the long.
It's called Mom. It's called Mom and Dad. It's going to be in theaters January 19th. It's a horror thriller. And the premise is a teenage girl and her little brother must survive a wild 24 hours during a mass hysteria of unknown origins causes parents to turn violently on their own kids. The trailer's awesome, and it's classic 1995 Cage. where he's like yelling and being crazy.
So I immediately am thinking of the film The Happening, and I'm just watching in my head Marky Mark run around screaming at trees.
Mark. Yeah, no, this is going to be way better in The Happening, way more action. Watch the trailer.
That's not hard to do, man. That's not hard to do.
But somebody throw that man a bone. He was so good for so long, and now I feel like we're just like, we're done with him. Bring him back.
Whoa. When was this period where he was good?
Nick Cage?
Oh, I thought you meant Marky Mark.
No, I'm talking about the Cage Man.
No. Oh, yeah, classic Nick Cage, Face Off. Oh, my gosh, yes.
The Rock?
I seriously thought you were trying to say that Mark Wahlberg was a good actor.
Do I have to mention Con Air?
I apologize. I misunderstood what you were saying.
We're good. That's pretty much it for interesting facts. I'm sure there's some other female actresses that were up for that role, but I did not find them. So let's take a quick break. We'll plug some social media, and we'll be back on the other side with the full review.
Wait a minute, what are you doing, Doc? I need fuel.
We want to thank you for hitting the download button on today's podcast. We're going to jump into the full review of Speed in just a minute. Please subscribe to us on iTunes. That is the best way to support this show. It doesn't cost you guys a single penny, and it makes sure that every single episode is downloaded automatically to your device. All episodes are also up on YouTube, so you can go on there, subscribe to our channel, and we'll post the full download. And then support us on social media too. Give us a like or a follow on Twitter, Instagram. We're at Back in Time Pod. And then Facebook is Back in Time Podcast. Just type that into the search bar. You'll find us no problem. Other than that, you guys enjoy the show, and we will be back on the other side with the full review after this clip. Take it away, Keanu. Well,
I'm the guy with the plan, because I'm smarter than you. I'm smarter than you. Yeah? Well, I'm taller.
so we're back from the bathroom break, and we're ready to jump in 50 miles an hour right into this Speed review here. JD, real quick before we start, and I don't know if we cover this in the other episodes here, but when's the last time you saw Speed prior to rewatching it here lately?
Definitely within the last 5 years.
Okay, wow.
I get an itch for it. I get an itch for Speed. I get a need for Speed.
Okay.
And
also a good movie.
I always kind of forget how much I love it, and I also forget how long it is until I start watching it.
It is a long one.
That's what she said.
That is what she said. I don't think I had saw this since the 90s, and I was surprised at how well I feel like this movie has held up over the years, as far as like the action sequences and stuff like that. And I was really impressed. But so we'll jump into it, but I just wanted to get that quick feedback right away. So the movie begins with some typical beginning computer technology graphics coming down the screen here. I thought the theme song was really good. I felt like it really kind of helped set the tone for the movie. But I also noted that this title sequence in the elevator takes over 4 minutes. Did you notice how long this intro was? Or did you just hit fast forward?
No, well, I noticed because I got bored, got up, went to the John, took a piss, came back, sat down, and thought, did my internet cut out?
Right. How 1990s were these graphics, though? It literally looked like my old screensaver from high school.
Oh, so it was like a preface of making fun of the Matrix for how like 90s it was.
I need to rewatch that movie. I haven't seen that in a decade either. So the security guard approaches Dennis Hopper's character, Howard Payne. He tells him he needs a minute to show the paperwork and reaches down and stabs the man right in the face. Some workers enter the elevator. Payne pushes a button and the elevator begins to ascend down. One guy says, "Jesus, Bob, what did you push?" Outside, we have a first glimpse of Keanu Reeves and Jeff Daniels' characters. Justin, what's your favorite role for Jeff Daniels?
I loved him in Full House. He is so good as Joey Gladstone. Like, I just love him, his comedy, his impressions. He's so spot on.
Okay. You're still running with that, huh?
Yeah, it's part of my shtick.
Okay. And what's your favorite Keanu Reeves movie? And why is it Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure?
I'll tell you, the first time I saw that movie on another episode, that was a weird experience as a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Legit, my favorite Keanu movie.
Okay.
My favorite Keanu, or what?
Give it to me for real. Yeah.
It's such a good question.
I'll tell you mine real quick while you're thinking.
Yeah.
And this is gonna get me a lot of heat. A lot of heat. I know it's coming. The Replacements, Shane Falco.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I like him. That left-handed QB. I loved it.
See, I choose him as a different college football player, and I'm going to go with Johnny Utah in Point Break.
Point Break's another good one. Haven't seen it in a long time. We're going to have to do that episode too.
Absolutely, we will.
Captain McMahon says they have 1 hour, and he gives his orders. The captain's played by Joe Morton, and he may best be known by his character in Terminator 2. Justin, do you remember his character there?
Yeah, I do.
The officers.
For those of you who have no idea what that was my horrible impression of him choking on his own blood before he blows up the freaking facility.
Yeah. Yep, right before he blows up Cyberdyne. The officers are told they need to evacuate the building. Time is running. Jack and Harry are the first two cops to the elevator. Jack tells the elevator attendees that they are the LAPD, and it'll have them out of here in no time. They see a bomb strapped to the elevator. This is Harry's expertise here. He says he recognizes the work. It's very good. Jack begins to form a plan on how to take the hostages out of the equation. They make their way outside, and he grabs a hook from the top of the building that's attached to a crane and lowers it down and attaches it to the elevator. Harry wants to know if this is going to work, and Jack says, I think so. Hopefully. Meanwhile, Payne sets off the detonator. The elevator begins to plummet, but the hook that Jack attached catches and saves the elevator for the time being. Jack and Harry rush to the elevator doors. They pry it open, and they start to save passengers one by one. The last lady, though, refuses to come out before Jack grabs her hand and pulls her to safety before the elevator finally gives way and crashes down. What do you think of this opening sequence here?
In terms of storytelling, to me, rewatching it now, I was a little annoyed at it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, they show us Dennis Hopper as the villain. We've got the guy that plays in the Utz commercials for Mad Men is in the elevator. Keanu Reeves. We've got Dumb and Dumber. We've got Miles Dyson from Terminator. It's like a whole boggle of things going on, and it seems very disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just as rewatching it, knowing everything that comes from afterwards. So I'm jaded.
Okay.
I guess I'm trying to say I was rewatching it. I was annoyed. I was like, I don't want to see any of this. I just want to see you get on the bus.
Get to the bus, will you?
Right.
Jack and Harry are brainstorming here, and they think if the bomber was here, where might he be? And Harry says service elevator. And they go over, they unbolt the door, and they look down, and about 25 feet down, there's the service elevator stopped and just sitting there. So right away, Jack says, oh, look, our mystery guest forgot to sign in. He's got a couple little lines like this that made me laugh.
There's a lot of good one-liners in this movie.
Yeah. So anyway, he wraps his legs around and starts to shimmy down, kind of like the rope in gym class. It used to make me feel funny. That's my Garth. Harry follows suit. Inside, McMahon hears the sounds of them on top of the elevator and fires a round off with his assault rifle. Harry falls inside the elevator here and pretty much is going to get trapped here by, not McMahon, I mean, Dennis Hopper's character. And Jack goes inside, he pulls his gun on him. Harry is being held by the neck, and the other hand is holding the detonator, and he threatens to blow it up and half of the building, and he pushes a couple buttons. One goes, the original button says floor 3, but he's got another one that actually will take them to floor 1 to throw off all the other cops here. How smart was that by Dennis Hopper's character here to do that?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, it's this movie is like continual twists and turns of like really great writing to keep the villain one step ahead of the heroes.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you think like, how can he get out of this? And you're like, shit, I didn't think of that.
I didn't think he'd be able to switch the floor numbers. The guy's a genius.
But he's a genius. He's missing a finger, but he's a genius.
Yep. They reach floor 1, and Payne backs out. He's got Harry as well. He continues to go back and forth with Jack a little bit here when Harry tells Jack to shoot the hostage. So without hesitation, Jack fires a shot in his partner's leg. Harry calls him a prick. In the middle of possibly being blown up, Harry goes, "You prick." And it works. He falls to the ground, freeing himself, and Jack tells him he's out of options until Payne decides he's not out of options and goes out the garage door and blows the door, sending Jack flying all the way across the other room into a wall.
One of the best person exploding and like flying away from the explosion scenes is like this scene, and then the scene in Starsky and Hutch with the little what's the politically correct term? We'll just say child.
Yeah.
With the afro.
Yes.
And he gets blown up and his afro just fluffs up in the air as he goes flying backwards.
That's awesome. So at this point, I mean, we got to kind of assume that that Payne's dead, and at least that's what they think. So in this next scene here, Jack and Harry are being given medals for their bravery. Harry tells Jack, "You shoot me in the leg, and you get a medal. You're a prick." Jack smiles and says, "You told me to do it." And they accept their medals. As they're walking across the stage, it's the camera's on Jack. It pans out a little bit, and it's a TV set. And we see Payne, and he's watching the whole thing, and he's clapping for Jack. So what did you think of this? I thought for a minute maybe he was dead, but he's not. Again, one step ahead.
Twisting the screws. Like, it's such a good little writing technique to do, to like, you give a handful of crackers, and then in the other hand, you got a club, and then you whack them.
At the bar next, they're celebrating the Medals of Honor. Jack is really pumped about the work they've done, but Harry and Captain tell him that they were lucky in the pump the brakes here. There's a funny moment here where Harry takes a swig of his beer and spills it down his shirt. And then he goes, "Somebody get me a bib." So I love Harry's like little one-liners, and they're so subtle. But yeah, I think this is the first time I've ever kind of picked up on them. Very, I can see how this led to Dumb and Dumber, which I think came right after this, if I'm not mistaken.
Total side note. So is he Harry or Lloyd in Dumb and Dumber?
He's Harry.
So he's Harry and Harry.
Harry and Harry. And they came out the same year. Yeah, Dumb and Dumber came out later in the year, so this came first.
So this is literally Harry before he meets Lloyd Christmas.
Yep.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, I just thought that was funny because I'm always the guy that like will spill a beer down my shirt. Like we got to the bar and I'm like, "Oh shit, what happened? I spilled my beer." That's always me. So I thought that was hilarious. You gonna say something there, or are you just taking a breath?
I was going to make a joke about how I'm always the guy that spills caviar on my shirts.
Nice.
Then I realized it was a stupid joke and wasn't going to say it, but then he called me out on it, and I did say it.
Yeah. Potato.
Yeah, potato penis.
Harry. Potato penis.
Continue.
Okay. Harry tells him, we're dealing with a psycho, and we're lucky. He could have blown us up at any moment. Harry tells him that guts will get you so far, and then they will get you killed. I love that line. Luck runs out sooner or later, right, Chief? Harry stands up to leave. He says, I'm going home to have some sex. Jack says, you're going to go home and puke. And Harry says, well, that'll be fun too. So he leaves the bar. The next scene here, Jack walks out of a coffee shop, and we have our first shot of a bus in the background here. The guy goes inside and gives Jack some grief about seeing him on TV last night. He says he looked fat. He's just giving him a hard time. They walk out of the shop. The bus starts going down the road and blows up. And Jack chases it, but it's completely covered in flames. And as he's kind of got his hands over his head and unsure of what to do, you hear a payphone in the background ringing. And eventually it gets Jack's attention because it keeps going and going. He goes over to answer it, and it's our killer again. It's our mastermind, Payne, on the phone. And he says, what do you think, Jack? If you pick up the driver's teeth, will they give you another medal? And he tells Jack he has blinders on two of the... hold on one second. Okay, here we go. He tells Jack he has blinders on, and he's got two rules. This is about money, and money that is owed to me, $3.7 million. Quiz, hotshot. There's a bomb on the bus. Once the bus goes 50 miles an hour, the bomb is armed. Once it goes below 50 miles an hour, the bomb blows up. Jack says he wants to know what's on the bus. McMahon says there are rules. If anyone gets off the bus, I detonate it. I want my money by 11 a.m. It's 8:05 on his watch. He tells him the bus number is 2525, and Jack takes off to get into his car. What'd you think of this scene here?
I think I kind of want to get a tattoo of 2525 down my spine. No, I'm being dead serious. How great would that be?
Yeah.
Like anytime you go to a pool, everyone's like, oh, what's 2525? And you'd be like, that's the bus that Jack saved you, motherfucker. Now get out of this pool.
You know the funny thing is, I bet if you met Keanu Reeves and you're like, dude, check out my tattoo, you'd be like, 2525. Is that your birthday or something?
Makes no sense. Kyle, get out of the pool.
We see a bus driving. It reads 2525 on the back. Sandra Bullock screams, Sam, stop the bus! And the bus driver hears her, but he's laughing and keeps driving, so she has to chase it. Her character's name is Annie. First impression of Sandra Bullock here.
I like the way that they introduce her. Like you said, the credits take up 4 minutes. We've seen this elevator scene of throwaway characters minus, Jack and Harry. And Miles Dyson, of course.
Yep.
And now we, for the first time, get to see her. We meet Annie, and it's so tragic in that she almost misses the bus. She almost does not have to deal with this. She almost gets away with a good day.
Yep.
But not quite, because Sam does what Sam does, and Sam stops.
Hey, what's your favorite Sandra Bullock movie, and why is it Two If by the Sea?
It's Demolition Man because of that outfit she wears.
Nice. I'm going to go, I like some Sandra Bullock, and I hate to keep doing football movies, but I like them. I thought she was awesome in The Blind Side. As the
I never saw The Blind Side. I'm going to go ahead and admit that. I've never seen it.
Yeah, I think you would like it. It's about offensive linemen. So, right up our alley. So, and I know we discussed this on the last episode, so if you want to hear us debate on whether we think Sandra Bullock is hot or not, check out our last episode, the teaser trailer breakdown. JD thinks she's hot. I think she's all right. and not as big of a fan, but he likes the girl next door. What can we say?
I think she has a classic beauty to her. There's a difference between hot and classic beauty.
That is what you said.
For those of you that have not met me, my hands are flailing in the air right now as I'm arguing with Kyle. Classic beauty is much different than hot.
Right. So, Sandra Bullock, showing. I'll give you that one. On the bus, Annie is talking with Stevens, played by Alan Ruck. You may recognize him as Cameron Fry from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Thank
you so much for mentioning that. Thank you. I meant to say something about that earlier and I forgot. And thank you for yes, Alan Ruck is so great in this movie.
Do you remember his other role that's also by the same director?
Please lay some knowledge down on me.
He's Rabbit in Twister. He's the guy on the that does all the directions.
I have not seen Twister since like 1995.
I watch anytime it storms out. I watch Twister. I'll watch it like 3 times a year. Yep. If we have like a nice big storm, I'm like, oh, I gotta watch Twister. So yeah, I own it and I watch it often. So,
the dude from People Under the Stairs is in it too.
It's the suck zone, man. Anyway. So the bus enters the freeway. Jack is still giving chase. He hasn't caught up yet. He weaves in and out of traffic. One lady says, I couldn't handle the freeways anymore on the bus here. This way, it's a nice, smooth trip to work. Annie says, well, I miss my car. And she's not as happy to be on the bus here. We have an aerial shot here of Jack going down the freeway in his white-colored SUV. It's at the 33:56 mark of the movie if you want to go back and see this. I can't help make the comparison of a very famous car chase that would happen right around the same time of this movie. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That season of Arrested Development where George Sr.'s on the move.
That is the same sequence basically too. That's hilarious.
Yeah, thank you.
Good reference. So, to those not maybe picking up on this, this is almost identical to the shots of O.J. Simpson. So this movie came out on June 10th. The O.J. Simpson chase happened on June 17th, exactly a week later. Kind of eerie.
So it wasn't done on purpose. It was just serendipity.
Yeah. Very. I mean, it looks like he's driving a Bronco from up top. Like, it looks like it could be the same car in the same shot on the same road. Crazy. So finally, traffic comes to a halt. Jack runs to the bus and pounds on the door. The bus takes off, and he won't open the door for him. He's shouting, LAPD, stop the bus, but the driver can't hear him. He just keeps going. Jack stops the car after pulling a gun. The man driving his car says, it's not stolen. If you put one scratch on this, me and you going to have some words. And we finally see the license plate on the front, and it reads Toon Man. I know you're excited to talk about Toon Man. Give me your thoughts on this scene.
Toon Man is the best character in this movie. He is so good. He's so funny. He's so appropriate, and it's so racist the way that they portray him.
I know that the first thing out of his mouth is it's not stolen.
Like, why would anybody think it's stolen?
Right.
You're a well-dressed man driving down PCH in Los Angeles or wherever the hell they are. The 105. It's not stolen.
So Jack continues to give chase, and he's weaving in and out of cars here alongside with Toon Man. He finally pulls up along the bus, and he sees, and we see inside the bus that they just now passed the 50-mile-an-hour limit, and underneath the bus, the light clicks on, so it's now been activated. He tries to tell the bus driver there's a bomb on the bus, but again, he can't hear him, so Toon Man writes it on a piece of paper. And before he can hold it up, Jack kind of swerves, and the paper flies out of his hand, but it lands right on the windshield, where only the driver can see it before it floats off. His first instinct here, of course, is to take his foot off the gas and think about stopping the bus. So Jack gets alongside of him. The bus driver finally opens up the door, and he yells in there, "You need to stay above 50. Jack wants to know if Toon Man is insured. He says yes. So he pumps the brakes and breaks the door off, which Toon Man's like, God damn! And then he's obviously not happy about it. And then he wants to know if he can also take his phone. And Toon Man's just like, just take it. And Toon Man grabs the wheel and moves the car over so we can get in the position. And Jack makes the leap onto the bus. And poor Toon Man here, he doesn't come out unscathed. He crashes into some water barrels.
So basically, everything you just said is literally that Toon Man saves the day. Without Toon Man,
yeah, without
everyone
Toon
on that
Man,
bus is dead.
Yep, they're all dead within minutes. I would say for sure.
Toon Man is the hero. Can we get maybe a moment of silence for Toon Man?
Well, he didn't die.
Fine, then a moment of applause.
He just hit water barrels. He's all right. He's a little wet.
He's a little wet. Well, because he's got a convertible. Of course he's a little wet, but he has insurance.
So if you're wondering why you can't find him on the IMDb, he's not actually listed as Toon Man. That's just a name Justin's made up for him. He's credited as Jaguar owner, and it's the actor's name is Glenn Plummer. And
what else is he in? Come on.
He's got a lot of credits. He's got 132 credits. And he's best known for Strange Days, which came out in 95, Showgirls, and The Day After Tomorrow. So, I think he's more like a bit part actor. I haven't seen him like star in a movie that I've seen. But I don't watch BET. Let's move on. Jack tells the bus he's LAPD. He's here to help. A Hispanic man stands up from one of the back seats and pulls a gun on him. Jack tries to defuse the situation by telling him he's not here for him, and whatever he's done, I'm sure it's all good. Jack wants to put away his gun, so he slowly starts to lower it when a passenger jumps up to try and rescue here. But in the process, the gun gets fired and it hits the driver right in the shoulder. Annie races up there to check on the driver, Sam, and she grabs the wheel while they kind of move him over to a seat. She says she's going to pull over, and Jack yells, "No, you have to keep it over 50 or the bus will explode." So how about that for finding out there's a bomb on the bus? He's yelling at her, "Drive 50 or we're going to blow up." I can't imagine that.
That's what's so great about the writing of this movie is they take a super intense situation and they make it more intense. They're like, yes, your day sucks. You're on a bus that can't go below 50 or you're going to die. Oh, wait a second. Let's shoot the bus driver.
Right.
How can things get worse? You shoot Sam. That's how things can get worse.
I just looked up to see who the driver was, and his name is Hawthorne James. His profile photo on IMDb, he still has the same hair. Good for you, buddy.
Okay, he looks familiar. What else has he been in?
He hasn't been in much. He was George. Oh, let me get his actual character name. George the Night Guard in Seven, if you remember that one.
That's not what I remember him from.
He plays Chuck Vincent in The Doors. That's a good movie. Ooh, he's the bus driver in Workaholics TV show.
Let's just assume that everyone in this movie has been in Full House, and then just move on.
Wait, he's a bus driver in Workaholics. That's amazing. They recasted him. Same role. Now, Annie grabs the wheel. Again, she's told keep it above 50. He tells the rest of the bus there is a bomb on it. And if we go below 50, it's going to explode. If you try to exit the bus, it's going to explode. Jack dials Harry on his Zach Morris cell phone. Harry wants him to look under the bus, and Jack explains he can't. It's moving. The bus driver, who's bleeding, tells Jack there is a access panel, basically right where he's standing. He just needed to look down. And he has Stevens, a.k.a. The dude from Ferris Bueller. And he has him grab the phone, and he's going to radio the message back to Harry. And he says, we've got a big wad here. That's what she said. Brass fittings. Harry tells him that's a decoy. Jack yells, oh, fuck. There's enough C4 in here to blow a hole in the world. And there's a gold watch, pretty plain and cheap. That's a plot point. Harry can't wrap his head around the watch. He's using all this C4, heavy explosives, and Harry tells one of the cops he wants to look at all the files again, but of cops. So he catches up on that cheap watch that he was talking about. What do you think of that?
It's one of those throwaway plot points that are important later on down the road.
Yeah.
That like it's a little corny. Like, oh, cheap watch. Like, it's not the first time a watch is referenced up until now in the story.
Right, because Harry mentioned it in the bar. Yeah, if you stay here for 10 years, you'd be lucky if they send you out here with a cheap gold watch.
And so now we have a cheap gold watch.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
So Annie, trying to get the attention of Jack, has to use the loudspeaker, and she tells him traffic is stopped. So they have to go on the shoulder, and they're bumping in the cars. Jack radios to Cap and Mac up in the chopper. Annie sees a bus coming ahead. She narrowly misses the bus, but she hits a lady in a baby carriage here, and she's just screaming, thinking she just killed this little baby. And all we hear is Jack saying, "It's cans. Cons." He says cans kind of weird.
Okay, can we take a moment to really like dissect this scene?
Oh, yeah.
Because how horrifying was this? We have a normal looking lady crossing the intersection with this 1920s little, what is that even called that you put babies in?
Stroller.
I don't know. Stroller.
Yeah.
It's called a stroller. And then, boom, it gets nailed, and you realize, oh, that's just what people do in the middle of the afternoon in Los Angeles. They
Boom.
put cans in their stroller and walk across the street.
Hey,
It's horrifying.
how's my John Men? Boom.
Tough acting and acting.
So Captain pulls up to the bus. He wants Jack to get off, but he explains he can't. He's watching. Payne calls on the cell phone, and Jack is able to convince him to allow Sam to get off the bus here. So the next scene, we see the bus in a flatbed truck trying to get close enough so they can move Sam over and get him some help because he's bleeding to death here. One lady on the bus is pissed off that she can't get off the bus, and after they get Sam off, she takes it in her own hands to try and go behind Jack's back here and exit. But in the process, of course, Payne's watching the whole thing, and he blows the steps where she's standing and kills her in the process here. I thought this was awesome. Like, I didn't know he could blow different parts off, and he just blew the entire staircase. Pretty cool.
It shows you like how much power he has.
I wouldn't be surprised if he had a bomb under every single seat, and he's like, I don't like that guy. Pfft. Dead.
Or up their asses.
Right. Shoot him right up the ass. Jack screams at the captain to get the goddamn chopper out of here. Because of the press, Payne can see everything that's going on. The passengers are getting restless. They're starting to argue. Jack yells at them to stop. Norwood, Lieutenant Norwood, calls Captain McMahon. We have an issue. The freeway isn't finished. And again, this is one of the interesting facts from the earlier where the director had been driving around and saw that part of the freeway hadn't been finished yet. By the time they filmed this, it had been done, but they digitally took it out. So anyway, Jack announces there's a gap in the freeway. It's about 50 feet wide. And the passengers are starting to freak out. Annie wants to know what to do, and Jack tells her to floor it. So he makes the passengers put all their bags underneath the seats, make sure they cover their heads, and they start approaching the gap here. And Annie's got the pedal to the floor. They've hit almost 70 miles an hour, and they take off. The front of the bus goes up instead of down, which I found weird because the gap wasn't going down. It was basically a straight road. But somehow they fly up in the air, and they land, and they make it safely. What do you think of this movie magic here?
I think, thank goodness, Toon Man put Jack on the bus.
No kidding. Smart thinking by Jack. Also highly illogical. In real life, that thing would have nosedived straight down and killed everybody.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have you met Toon Man before?
No, I've met Toon Man.
Has Toon Man dropped you off on a bus?
He has not.
So you have no idea what is capable of a human and a bus when Toon Man drops you off.
Well, I asked him for directions. He told me, "Fuck your mother." And I said, "Roll him up."
I feel like this is the last episode we will ever do of this podcast. This is just...
Roll him up. So anyway, they approach LAX, and Jack has Annie turn off the freeway. They enter the airport onto the runway. Upon entering, though, she runs over some spikes. And those are going to pop the old tires there, so that's not good. We get another phone call from Payne. He's a real pain in the ass, isn't he? Always calling every time they do something good. He tells Jack he's done a good job. Lots of close calls here. But he tells Jack he wants his money. And at the end of the day, that's all this is about. He just wants to get paid. He wants to know why they're messing with him and why they won't just give him the money. He's not doing this for fun. So Payne says he has a medal too. He got a medal, a pink slip, and a thank you. They still haven't figured out he's a cop formally, but he's giving a lot of hints here. Why do you think they didn't pick up on this sooner?
It's a classic bait and switch. Like, they're too busy to really pay attention to the bigger picture because they have to focus on the bus. So to me, it's logical that they're not picking up on the pieces because they've got a bigger fish to fry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think that's lazy screenwriting. I don't think that's lazy storytelling. I don't think that's lazy character development. It's like if you have a thorn on your foot and then you put your hand down on the stove and you're trying to get the thorn out of your foot, and then you're just like, holy moly, I burnt my hand. That's not, I just made that up. That's a good analogy.
Yeah,
though.
That's good. And while Payne's talking, Jack negotiates him being able to get off the bus so he can start to talk to these guys about getting them the money. Payne tells him to be quick and not to try and grow a brain. So apparently he thinks Jack is an idiot. He exits. He gets off the bus. Annie tells him to not forget about us. And the captain wants to unload the bus now, but Jack says, no way. He's been one step ahead of us the entire time. Jack says he needs to be able to disable the bomb. So in this next scene here, he's standing on the back of this truck, and they've got this small like roller cart. I don't know what else to call it. Captain says, this is it, Jack. Don't get dead. What the hell does that mean?
Okay. That's my favorite line in this entire movie.
Don't get dead.
Don't get dead. I quoted that. I remember being on the playground and somebody be like, oh, I'm going to go on the swings. And I'd be like, don't get dead.
So Jack lays down. They start to send him toward the bus here. It's going to be a tight fit. Not a lot of room here. Once he makes it under, Harry's instructing him on what to do. The tires are continuing to break off, so the rubber's coming loose from running over the spikes. Jack says he can't bypass it. It'll fire. One of the cops enters. They found their man, Howard Payne. Harry tells him to sit tight. They're going after the source. So Jack radios to Mac to get him out of here. But as he's doing it, the cable snaps, and Jack has to jab his screwdriver into the gas tank and use that to pull himself off the cart before it wrecks. And he's just kind of hanging there until Ortiz grabs his tools and pulls apart part of the floor here and says he found him, he's okay, and he pulls him up and brings him in the safeties here. Stevens wants to know if they had any luck with the bomb, and Jack says, yeah, it didn't go off. So, kind of a smart ass. Mac says, how many lives you got, man? Captain. So apparently you can hear him even though he's in another vehicle with all the windows up. Gotta love the magic of movies. What do you think of this scene here, though? This was pretty intense.
It's another moment where they take a very tense situation and they double down. Like, yeah, okay, Keanu Reeves, you're outside, your life's on the line.
Yeah.
The only way that you can survive is stabbing into the bus. You've stabbed into the gas tank. Now, by saving yourself, you've made things worse.
Definitely.
It's like Sam getting shot. earlier where Sam gets shot, where he's diffusing, that hostility with the gun, and it takes like a negative situation and it makes it worse. It's like stubbing your toe and turning around and banging your head into the wall. I'm full of analogies tonight. Tonight's my analogy night.
So Annie wants to know what the smell is. Jack explains they're losing gas now. And she says, "Why, you needed another challenge? This was too easy?" Mac calls for them to get a fuel car out here right away. Jack says himself, "Come on, Harry, save my life." So in the next scene, we see a SWAT scene. In the next scene, we see... I'm going to have to take a second here. So in this next scene, the SWAT team pulls up to Payne's house, and they enter through a window that was open. And as they go in, we hear a phone ringing. I thought at first that might be him calling to talk to the police, but that kind of goes away. Harry stops, though, and he stares at the wall for a second, and a red light flashes, and the entire house blows up, killing Harry. So, a moment of silence for Harry. What'd you think of this scene here?
He dead.
Yep, he done got dead.
He done got dead. The one thing that, Jack was told not to do, Harry went ahead and did.
Yep.
You guys, you're not supposed to get dead. Harry, and you got dead.
Mm-hmm. Good point. So the phone rings. Jack thinks it's Harry calling, so he says, "Tell me good news, man." And it's Payne on the other line saying, "I'm sorry, Harry didn't make it." Payne says it was his watch that led him to me, wasn't it? "You can't beat me, and you're going to have to pay me every single dollar." Drop point is Persian Square. He wants his money dropped off by a certain time. Jack throws down the phone and screams and stomps on it, and Annie has to calm him down. Jack turns around to all the passengers who are staring at him now. They're not saying a word. They're just like, this guy's losing it. And Jack looks at Annie's sweatshirt. He says, "I'll be damned. Arizona Wildcats. Did you go to school there?" She did. Earlier, I don't think we mentioned this in the notes here, but actually Payne mentioned that she was a Wildcat. Tell that Wildcat of yours to stay on the road. So Jack says he's had a camera on us the entire time. He can see you. So we see Payne laughing at the news station in this next scene, and on one of his other screens is the bus, and it's right looking directly at Annie and the rest of the bus. So Mac runs over to a cameraman who's outside. He's been filming as they kind of go around the airport, and he tells him there's a live feed on that bus. I need you to find it and record it. So they have a plan to finally unload the bus here. So he gets it recorded. He tells them to hit play on it, and it kind of takes over that live feed that Payne's been watching. He doesn't see any of this occur because he's been in the bathroom. So when he comes back out, they pull up alongside another bus, and they begin to unload one after another. And they finally get down to the last couple people here, and they hit another bump as Stevens is trying to cross. And they're barely able to save Stevens. And now they have no ramp to get Jack and Annie here. So Jack pulls out the door to the bottom of the bus here, and it's kind of scraping along the pavement. He ties a rope to it, and they both kind of go down and cuddle up here, and they slide to safety, but the bus keeps driving and crashes into another plane. I assume there wasn't any passengers on there, but they don't ever tell us. What do you think of this scene here with everybody getting off safely and this explosion?
It's a great scene in that, it takes, it's the culmination of everything that's been going on. And we get everybody off the bus, and we have another challenge. It's like the movie is like such a series of challenges for the passengers on the bus, but then smaller challenges for Jack. And yet we have one more small challenge for him. He does not get an easy day off. He does not get his latte. Even earlier in the movie when he orders his coffee and he puts it on top of his Jeep. Do you remember that part earlier?
Yeah,
he drives off and
he doesn't even get to drink
the coffee on top of the car.
Yeah, poor guy.
He never gets his coffee in this movie, and that's why I love the writing in this movie and the way that the story is told, because it takes And every twist that they can make things harder on him, they do.
Yep.
And his escape is not easy yet again.
No, definitely not easy. And Jack tells Andy it's over, and they have a nice moment on the ground here. I think we got some beakage going on. I think Jack's looking the beak.
Oh, he's going to beak. He is going to Keanu beak.
Yeah. Whoa. What's that down there? And the next thing...
What did she say? What's that down there? I hope to goodness he does not go down there to beak and then says, what's that down there?
And the next thing, they're cleaning up some cuts on Annie's leg when Norwood comes in and says he wants to know when we will get him his money. Jack tells Cap he doesn't know the bus blew up. So Cap tells him 30 minutes. And they prepare they prepare a plan of action on how to attack this here. And Annie's outside waiting kind of by herself on the street. Payne looks at the building and sees they have snipers at the drop point. And he looks hard at the camera and he notices on the feed that it's just a repeat and they're no longer on there. And he just starts screaming, no, my money. So next scene here, he's all dressed up in his cop uniform and he's on the street. He walks right to Annie. And she has no idea who he is. And he says, you got to move away from here. You're too close. She says, no, I'm with Jack. He goes, yeah, Jack sent me. No problem. And he escorts her off the road, and we'll see her in a minute here. And what did you think of this here? Again, I thought this was clever writing.
It's so difficult to take a movie like this and to put it into perspective. It's a contained thriller movie that takes place in the wide open world. And he gets to put on his cop uniform. He gets to pull the ruse. It's almost now they're just doing Scooby-Doo stuff.
Happy ending.
No, I want your Wayne's World reference.
No, just doing the super happy ending.
I love
diddle.
Rock it out, man.
Oh, there you go. So anyway, Jack knows something's up, so he goes running out to the street, and he notices that underneath the drop point it's just empty. So when they went and made the drop in the garbage can, it went straight down underneath. So again, Payne's another step ahead of him. So Jack runs down into, I think it's a train station, or it actually might be the sewer initially in this one here. And he sees somebody standing there. He goes, freeze! Pop quiz. When you have a hair trigger aimed at your head, what do you do? What do you do? Turn around. And the person turns around and it's Annie with a bomb strapped to her. And then Payne comes out from around the corner. He's got the trigger in his hand. Jack wants him to let her go, but he's not going to let that happen until he gets his money. Actually, he has his money, so he's just not going to let that happen. Payne says, do you know what a bomb is that doesn't explode? It's a cheap gold watch. What do you think of that reference? I wasn't sure I really understood it, but I wonder if you had any points on that.
I don't know. It's like a very deep point that he's making. A bomb that doesn't explode is a cheap gold watch. And it sort of like harkens back to his whole career in law enforcement, that like they were building a bomb and it didn't explode when he was a cop. So they put a cheap gold watch on it. And then they built the terrorist. Boom!
Nice. Well done. Well done, sir. So in the next scene, we hear a train in the background. So when this next scene picks up, Payne enters the train with Annie. He's firing his automatic gun in the air, kind of scaring everybody off the train. Jack hears the people running and runs toward the train. He can't get the door open at first, but eventually he pulls it open just in time before he's going to get decapitated by a wall. He gets onto the plane. Payne has Annie handcuffed to a pole here, and he puts the trigger in her hand and says, you need to hold on to this or we're all going to explode. And then Payne turns around and kills the driver of the train here. And meanwhile, on top of the train, Jack is now army crawling his way towards the front of the train. At one point, he kind of lifts up his head and he almost gets his own head taken off here by like a red flashing stop sign type of thing. I don't know. That kind of freaked me out a little bit that he was on top of that train. Those things go fast. Anyway, Payne hears him crawling on top and says, I wouldn't be able to interest you in a bribe, would I? Because I got plenty to go around. And he starts to get some money out of his duffel bag, and purple paint sprays him in the face. And Payne starts yelling, "No! My money!" So, second time he's done that. He fires some shots toward the top of the train, barely missing Jack. Payne yells, "I'm coming for you, Jack!" What'd you think of that scene here? And why did they put purple paint in there?
I think it's just sort of like a defense mechanism, so it marks their, I don't think he's able to wash that off. So if he's walking down the street, it's like, hey, asshole with the.
That's a really good point. Like, clearly they're going to be able to point him out in a crowd.
Right.
You guys
but I like this ending scene, takes me back to the first scene where when you watch it, if you've never seen it before, it's disappointing because you're like, we started in an elevator, we're ending in a train, but this movie is about people on a bus.
Right.
So whereas I think if this movie were to be made now, we would never see them off the bus. But being that it was made in 1994, it gets to be a proper action film that gets to be on top of a train. It's like,
of course,
planes, trains, and automobiles. We've seen every freaking aspect of travel. This is a John Candy movie on meth.
That's a good comparison. Next scene here, on top of the train, Payne approaches from behind. He tries to attack Jack. He's on top, kind of choking him out here, when they start to approach another one of those hanging red lights that just nearly missed Jack from earlier. And Jack sees it coming, Payne doesn't. So as he gets closer, he pushes Payne's head up, and he gets beheaded here. And that's going to be the end of Payne. I missed the line, and I didn't go back to see what it was, but Payne said something to him. And then after he gets beheaded here, Jack goes, "Well, I'm taller." And I missed the front part of it. Do you have any idea what it might be?
I think it was Potato's penis.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So back onto the train here, Jack comes up to Annie. She wants to know where Payne is, and he says he lost his head. That's all he says.
Good one-liners.
Over the speaker, they say they need to pull the brakes, but Jack can't. They've been broke and shot out. The track is not finished. And what is it with LA and not finishing freeways or train tracks? Twice in one movie.
Well, I will say it's convenient to the storyline.
Yeah, very convenient. So Jack tries to free her hands, but he can't, so he says there's a curve ahead, I'm going to speed up and jump the track. He moves the throttle to full speed. She begs with him to just go and leave her, but he's not going to do that, so they sit down on the ground and kind of just hold each other here as we race full speed ahead. There's some workers ahead on the track trying to finish it up. When the train approaches, they just run and dive out of the way. The train goes off the track and splits in two. Jack and Annie, their part of the train continues to just go forward. The other one hits a wall and blows up. And outside we see it says Hollywood Station on a sign or on the side of the street building. And eventually we see the train go crashing through that building and onto just the street. And right in the middle of LA, it looks like. And they're totally safe and unharmed here. It just kind of falls over to its side. And they're pretty much completely unharmed. So they jumped a train, they jumped a bus, and they got a couple scratches. What'd you think of this?
I think it sounds like they are both ready and safe and prepared for a sequel.
I think they're both ready and about to peak because they start kissing here. And Jack says, I have to warn you, and Annie mentioned this earlier, relationships based off a dramatic situation never last. Annie says, fine, we'll just base it off of sex. And
That's so good.
They start making out again. Yeah.
Okay, so to me, like, that line is like a direct parallel to the scene earlier when Harry's like, "Oh, what are you gonna do? Shoot your partner?"
Yeah.
And he actually shoots his partner.
Right.
Like, you're expecting like the fist in your mouth Hollywood response for the guy to be like, "Oh, we're totally gonna be together forever," and the girl to be like, for her to swoon and be like, "Ah." But no, like, no. They skip all of the tropes and go right to what everyone is thinking. Like, oh, they're just going to totally go beak.
And that's exactly what they're going to do. And she calls it, which is the best part. And then all Jack says is, "Whatever you say, ma'am."
He's a good officer of the law.
Anyway, so the bunch of people start to surround the train, and they're taking photos, and the credits roll. So that's the end of the movie here. Give me your final thoughts on the movie overall, how you felt like it held up, and what you thought of Speed.
To me, Speed has only gotten better with time. As an adult versus how I saw it the first time I saw it rented from Blockbuster on VHS.
Yeah.
I appreciate the story. I appreciate the acting, the music, the timing, the cadence. Everything about the movie is just perfectly thought out and presented. It's worthy of its 93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Like, it's a damn good movie.
Very few
cinematic classic.
Very few action movies are written this well, in my opinion.
I mean, I would say it's obviously Point Break is better, but
yeah. Well, what can you do? But yeah, no, I gotta say, I mean, on the topic of Blockbuster, be kind to Rewind, send it back, don't get your late fee, and man, I miss Blockbusters. I wish they were still around. I'd totally still have a membership. But,
I would be in the club that gets you the 2 for $5 movie rentals, and you get 5 rentals a month for $10.99 with the free popcorn. Yeah, oh goodness, yes.
I always used to get the 2 for $5 and then a bag of Skittles, and they're like $12. I'm like, what? How much were the damn Skittles? They got me every time.
You're a Skittles guy?
Yeah. I won't go see a movie without a bag of Skittles in my pocket.
Do you pre-Skittle or do you buy the Skittles at the theater?
No, I pre-Skittle because I like the wild berry, and they never have those.
Rock and roll, man. Some people like to party.
Yeah, I like to get down with a 99-cent bag of Skittles. But anyway, I thought this was a fun episode to do. I feel like it went by really quick. It lives up to its name. It was quick. A lot of speed. Quick reminder, go on to our Twitter right now, @BackInTimePod. This is going to be your last chance to vote before the next episode comes out for do we want to review Super Mario Brothers? Give it a yes for JD, give it a no if you want to side with me. I'm cool with it either way. I think JD's kind of swayed me toward wanting to see it, but maybe...
You people better freaking vote for it.
So go there, vote now. That's going to run from now until Sunday. We've got our next episode. Let's crack the egg on this. What are we doing next episode, JD?
We are going from Speed to Scream.
We're staying in the S category. I like that.
With a handful of letters, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to lie to you, Kyle. I'm a little bit nervous about doing this next episode. This is like one of the premiere movies that sort of formulated my love for horror.
Yep.
I mean, we're talking mid-90s. We weren't even in puberty by the time we saw this movie.
I feel like I watched this movie, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, there's another section in Blockbuster called horror, and they have all these awesome movies. And I just started watching every one of them.
I don't want to spoil it too much, but like even beyond that, it took horror. Scream takes horror movies and it makes it realistic. It makes you realize that you can go home at night and you might get brutally murdered.
Yeah. And I want to also say thank you for voting. This episode was voted on by our listeners on Twitter, and this is the one they picked. We had some tough competition, but this one won out. So we're doing what you guys want to hear, and we're going to keep doing that every single month as well. subscribe to us on iTunes. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a penny. That is the absolute best way for you guys to help support this show. And then while you're there, just leave us a 5-star review. And if you want to write a quick little review and just say we're awesome, that'd be cool too. If you don't like the show, well, you suck. And thanks for listening once. I'm kidding.
But please tell us if you think we suck. Seriously, tell us we suck so we can stop sucking.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse about a guy that is sucking and then doesn't get told to stop sucking.
I keep thinking of the word suck, and I just go back to Wayne's World where he gets a suck cut.
I've got Entourage on the brain. So
You're stripping my will to live, man. Just take a little, give me a little trim off the top. Don't buzz me. Oh, anyway. So subscribe to us on iTunes. We're on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Everything's at Back in Time Pod or Back in Time Podcast. Website is backintimepod.wordpress.com. We know it's long. We'll get something better in the future. We do have an Amazon store on there with links to all the movies that we review. So if you're going to buy it on Amazon, use that link. It sends us a couple shillings. And
Shekels?
Shekel?
I don't want to hurt shillings.
I want a bloody sock, though. That'd be cool. So, again, we'll be back next week with the teaser trailer for Scream. The full episode of Scream will be out as well. And then vote on Super Mario Brothers. If it wins, then we'll be doing Super Mario Brothers right after that. So stay tuned on the results. So we're going to jump back in the DeLorean here. We're going to punch in January 5th, 2018. We're in the new year. We're happy to be here. And we're going to return back to present day. So for myself, Kyle Autry, and my co-host Justin DeSandro, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week.
Don't get dead, Jack.
It means your future hasn't been written yet. No one's has. Your future is whatever you make it. So make it a good one. Both of you.